Live? We are?
No, we're not live. It says scheduled at the moment. No, we're not live. You haven't pressed the live button still.
We are live. I have. Live?
Well, we're live then.
Hello?
Hello.
We there?
We are. Yeah, we are live.
We are live. We are.
That was a bit confusing.
Some technical glitches there for a while. Well, we usually get them anyway, don't we? But to be fair, so hopefully we get them at the beginning of the show, and then we won't have them later on in the evening. So let's just say we are live. So thanks for that. I'm glad I'm glad we're all on. Anyway, evening. No, first things first.
Steve, you're saying your mic's playing up.
What? Is it? You're joking, mate. Can't be. Right, Paul, you explain.
You want me to do what, sorry? You want me to explain?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I think Steve's got a dodgy mic, so I think you try and sort that out, Steve. I will. So it's just the two of us this evening, as you can see. Ross has been called away. There's some stuff he has to go and do. So apologies. He sends his apologies, and obviously he was going to be on Ross's channel. Now we're over on Steve's channel because Ross can't host tonight. And Jay's feeling a bit under the weather. He's actually been ill on and off for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and he just can't. He can't clear it. So he sends his love. They both send their love. So good evening all. So what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for Steve to sort his mic out, I'm just going to go through and see who's around. So we've got 31 people watching. So thank you and welcome. So who was first? So first I've got here is Hayley. Good evening, Hayley. Hope you're well. Go Techers. Hopefully, Go Techers, you've got my lighting schedule for the tank over there, so hopefully that's useful. Just scanning out the lights. Up to about 6 hours now. Still got a long way to go. Hi, John. Evening to you. Cottage Reef. Good evening. Hey, hi, Julie. Hope you're well. I noticed you've sold all your corals and you're closing down, so hopefully you can still continue to join us once you've broken the tank down. Who else? UKM120. Good evening. Tony Close, UK Reef, good evening to you. Hiya, Hayley B. Chris Allen, good evening to you. MK Reefer, good evening. Stu's Reef even. Oliver, good to have you with us. I see you've missed the last few weeks, so always welcome. Julian Stamp, can't watch live tonight as Derby is on the telly. Maybe that's why Jay isn't on here, because Derby's on the telly. Those who don't know, Derby, Jay's a Derby County fan. So maybe, is he really ill? Well, who knows? Hiya, Steve. Welcome. Hi, Darren. Good evening to you as always. Hiya, Reef Paul. Now I've got my dog barking. I'm going to have to go and sort that out in a minute. Who else have we got? Errol. Hi, Errol. Howard, good evening to you. Hey, Paul, UK Reef. I haven't seen you for a while. I'm going to be back in 5 seconds to sort my dog out.
Hi there, guys. How is my sound? How do I sound now? Let me know in the comments. Is it still dodgy or is it good? Thumbs up. I don't know how I sound now.
Right.
Paul, do I sound okay now?
No, you don't. You still sound rough.
I don't know what it is, mate. These I've just charged them, these things, yeah, and they should be bang on. It's the usual stuff that I use.
Do you know what? I've got a pair of Apple EarPods, like the obviously you consider the wired ones. Use them for years. They're as well, dare I say, I'm going to jinx it now, but they're as good as gold.
I know. You know what? Let me. I've got some. These are my Bose headphones, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've got some Bowers and Wilkins in ear ones. Let me see if I can set them up on.
Okay. Right, so while we're waiting for Steve, I've got a question that I need some help with. So this tank, 100 litres, I've got a pair of clowns in there. I'm going to add a couple more fish probably over the next couple of months, do it one by one. But I need some ideas for a small fish. I don't want a fish that is going to outgrow the tank. So it's got to be small and it's got to stay small. So I just wonder if anyone's got some suggestions. So if you can put it in the comments. So just a couple that I've thought about, which one is a Watchman Goby. So that's the kind of really small yellow one. I've had one of those before in a previous tank. They're really nice and they are quite placid, quite docile. And I was thinking of a neon blue Goby, but I've already got one of those in another tank. Pipefish, I was thinking of a pipefish, but the tank is probably too immature for that. So I need to have probably a few months before that. And then what else was I thinking of? A pygmy hawkfish, but again, I've got one of those. So there's just kind of a few that I've thought about, but I've already got, and they don't grow big, and they would easily fit into that. So let's see what we've got. So we've got a firefish. Yeah, that's a good idea. A dot back. I'm assuming that's a dotty back. The only thing with that, they can be quite aggressive, but then I've only got a pair of clowns, but I probably couldn't put a Watchman Goby in there. Maybe a Yasha Goby. I'll write that down because I haven't really looked into that one. And then a neon. I think you can get I mean, I've got the neon blue, but I think you can get a neon gold as well. So I'll have to look into that. So a clown Goby, towel spot, Blenny. I'm going to just write those down as I will forget. Royal Grammar. I mean, they're brilliant. I've got one of those in one of the other tanks, so I probably wouldn't go for that. Got a Tamini Tang Yellow Watchman, yeah, Royal Grammar. A Pink Streak Ras. Now, that was mentioned to me earlier today, actually, that they're really small and they stay small. So that's another good idea. Let's have a look. Purple Firefish. Yeah, I must admit, I do like the look of Firefish, and I've got a lid on it, so hopefully that would be okay. Howard got the 75 litre and have a Bengai Cardinal, got one of those. Royal Grammar, got one of those. Purple Firefish, yeah, that's the second one for a purple Firefish. Now, with the Firefish, would you keep them in a pair or would you have it individually or just the one? Right. Scarlet Hawkfish.
Oh, how's that?
No, it's still tinny. Go on, speak again.
How's that now?
Go on. It's a little bit better, but I wouldn't say it was good. Unless anyone else comments. Is it just me? I didn't think that was particularly good.
How do it sound? How does it sound to you guys?
You sound worse than the last set.
You're joking.
Yellow Clown Goby.
You know what?
Last time you had to change your settings, didn't you?
Yeah, they don't say. Mate,
yeah.
It's all say. They don't have a clue what's going on with this. This is an absolute nightmare, mate.
Okay, so you've got a Goby pistol combination. That could work. The other one I was thinking of, and someone called out to me, I'd love to get an angelfish, but most of the angelfish will be too big for this tank. But then it was mentioned to be about what's it called? A cherub angelfish. They're about 1 inch. They grow not more than about 1.5 inches. And what the only problem is, they could have a little nibble at some of the LPS. But that may not be an issue as this tank evolves. If I was to go over to, say, a NEM tank, then I could put fish in there that weren't reef safe, and it wouldn't really matter because I don't think angelfish are going to nibble on anemones. So that is another option. Cherub angelfish. There you go, Chris. So Chris has put my Yellow Watchman and Tiger Pistol are a right comedy pair. So with that, Chris, with a Tiger Pistol, do you need a deep sandbed? Because I've not had a pistol shrimp before. Because I've only got probably about 1 centimetre of sand. I mean, I can add more sand, but I've deliberately gone really shallow the sand, more just as a covering than anything else. And I know they like to have a little dig. And there's lots of places where they could, if I put more sand in, dig and create some caves and dig underneath the rockscape. But I wasn't too sure if you need quite a bit of sand. Go on, Steve.
How's that sound?
That sounds a little bit better.
Is that better now?
It's a little bit better, but still a little bit crackly.
I think I might have to do it. If it gets any worse, then I might have to reboot the system and see if that's the case. But
okay, so Haley, you're saying they go under a rock, so that'll be okay because I've got plenty of places where they can hide, go under rock, and as the rock's on the actual glass itself, that's not going to cause a problem. Paul UK Reefer struggled with a firefish in a smaller tank. May just be me. Tried a few times. So Paul, did you put that in a fairly new tank, or was it quite well established? So it'd be interesting to see on that one. So Chris Allen is only mine's only ½ inch or so. He shovels it around his and the rock. Okay, so that sounds like that would be okay. Coddy's Reef, not enough sand at about 1 centimetre. So probably if ½ inch works okay, I probably need to go double the depth, which I can do. I can add it bit by bit, I suppose, on that. Yeah, the sound's still bad that's coming through. What else we got there? We'll pile some sand around the burrow, which works, that's fine. Have a look at the Caribbean blue bass. They are small and cool blue. Right, so I'll write that down because there's no way I'm going to remember half of these. Okay. Had one in the Red Sea Nano 6 months in. That's Paul UK Reefer. So this tank's only 3 months old. So it's still quite immature at the moment. But I probably won't add any more fish for a couple of months. The nitrates are okay. The phosphates are okay. So nitrates is about 15, 20. And phosphate, last time I looked, was 0.08. So I think that's okay. Do a water change every week, about 10 litres. So what's that, 10%? And I've got to say, since I've been putting the lights on, I've only got a small amount of algae from an algae stage. So I'm really pleased with how that's going. So that's really, really good. Let's have a look to see what other comments we have got. So Kraken and Finest have the blue bass in stock at the moment. Any problem, Chris? I'm the other end of the country. So that's a bit of a problem. Well, so Paul from Reef Community Worldwide, I just added 20 snails and 11 hermits yearly top up. So Paul, I thought you closed your tank down, but then the last time we heard of you, that was ages and ages ago. So what tank have you set up the old tank you had, or have you got a brand new tank? Be good to hear what's going on. Hey, Scott Parker. How are you, Scott? Long time no see. Steve's supposed to be on. He's having problems with his headset, and so he will be back hopefully soon. Otherwise, it's just me you got to listen to for a little while. Cellar Marine, cheap as chips for critters. Yeah, I've heard that. So what did you get a pack from them, Paul? The 20 snails and 11 hermits. Was that in a pack? Because I know they do sell packs, don't they, online? Or did you pop in there? Although I'm not too sure that's close to you. So let us know. Right. Okay. So what we're going to talk about, because I wasn't expecting Steve to drop out. So what can I say? Any questions, any comments, please put it in there. That'll be helpful. In terms of the tank behind, what else is going on in there? So I'm still having problems with the return pump. It is a bit rattly. I think there's still a bit of vibration going on with it. So I'm going to give it till Christmas. And if it doesn't improve, and I've tried putting sponge around it, I've put some filter floss around it, and the actual noise of the tank is louder than the tank I had there before. So as you know, I had a Red Sea Reefer 450 before, and I've got to say that is quieter than that tank. I haven't been really running the skimmer other than overnight because that is quite noisy as well. And when I do run it, you can open the door in the cabinet and you can feel it vibrate. So I'm not too sure it's just the way it's sitting on the floor, or what. I'm not too sure, but it's got a bit of vibration to it. So I'm not going to do. I'm just going to run the skimmer overnight. I don't need to run it any other time. So Steve, are you back with us? Go on, talk.
How's that sound?
That sounds a lot better. There's a little bit tinny, but I think it's okay. But I'll let the people in the chat tell us. I'll shut up. You talk.
Well, let us know how this sounds.
Does
this sound better, or does it sound better when I do this now? So
no, that's a lot better. That's a lot better now. I wouldn't touch it.
That?
Don't touch it.
What about that?
That's fine.
Touch it.
Don't touch it.
Is that good? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, and there's some comments. There's some comments saying it's a lot better. Yeah, and Haley said, leave it, low, it's good. And Paul UK Reefer saying same, and perfect.
Splendid. Cheers, guys. You know what?
Rihanna on a good night. There's a compliment for you, Steve.
Well, fair play. Yeah, appreciate that. Oh well, you've done a fine job there, Paul, for 15 minutes.
I don't know about that.
You've held the fort. So I've just totally lost track of everything. All I heard was briefly talking about a fish that you're adding to your tank, and that is all I heard.
So what I was saying, I want to add over the next couple of months. It might not be until Christmas or just after Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm going to add some more fish. I just wanted some ideas for a small fish. For a nano tank, so it's obviously 100 litres. So the ones I've written down is clown goby, pink streak wrasse, purple firefish, scarlet hawkfish, pistol shrimp combo. One I was thinking of was a cherub angelfish. I do fancy an angelfish, but there's not many that you can put in 100 litre. So a cherub, from the research I've done so far, they look really nice. Only get to about an inch and a half. They can have a bit of a chew and LPS, but if I move this over to a NEM tank, that isn't going to make any difference. So that would be okay. No. And they also can be aggressive, but I've got a pair of clowns in there. So clowns will hold their own. The only thing is if I put that in, I probably couldn't get a Watchman goby or something like that because they're quite timid. And another option was a Caribbean blue bass. There were some others mentioned, like a Royal Grammar and that, but I've already got those in another tank. So I'm looking for a fish that I haven't had before. And the only time I've come close to getting an angelfish was the red one whose name has gone completely out of my mind. The one that used to be about 30 quid and now they're about 150 quid.
Which one?
The red with black markings on it. And I can't remember.
Flame Angel.
Yeah, I love the look of Flame Angels. But
yeah, beautiful.
I didn't for the simple reason that they like to munch on corals.
Yeah. I was going to get one of them, and then they ended up getting the Coral Beauty, instead. I ended up getting one of them. Beautiful fish, Coral Beauties. Absolutely love them fish. But like I said, Paul, they've gone up crazy prices. I think I paid 28 quid for my Coral Beauty. You know what I mean? It's they've gone mad, but that's the way it is, isn't it, mate? I'm just having a look down to see what I've missed, if anybody said anything, and we're all
it's good. Just really in response. So the zoo put a dusky angel. Yeah, I'll have a look at that. I haven't heard of a dusky angel. Then I don't really know much about angels because I've never. I think angelfish are absolutely beautiful, but I've never really considered them because of the damage they can do to LPS and others. And I know you can get them all right. And they'll be all right for a while. But a number of people I've seen have got angels. They're okay. And then for whatever reason, they turn and all of a sudden they start munching on scollies and trachyphilias and stuff like that. So as it doesn't really matter, or it won't really matter in this. And even I put them in, I got a few Zoas and a few candy canes and stuff like that. If they start to nibble, I could take those out and put them in the other tank. So I can definitely...
Absolutely. Royal Grammars, like Anthony said, I really do like the Royal Grammars.
Yeah, I love a Royal Grammar. I've got it in my other tank, but mine's got quite big. Mine's probably about 2.5, 3 inches. I mean, I've had that fish. It came from that tank over there. So I've had it for about 5 years. So it's fully grown. And I must admit, I probably wouldn't want to put that in this tank. And whenever I try and set up a new tank, I try and put different fish in. Like the the 170, I've got the pygmy hawkfish, got the neon goby, I've got a pipefish in there. So they're and a yellow assessor. They're fish I've never had before. So I want to do something different. So I did talk about a flame angel for this. The only problem with the flame angel, so Paul, thank you for that. Your offer is I think it will be too big. They're saying for a flame angel, it should be, I've seen between 40 gallons and 100 gallons. And that's a lot smaller than that. So that's the only reason why I probably wouldn't go for one of those. Oh, a golden angels. I know, rare as hen's teeth. So it's probably have a price on it as well, Scott. So one thing about the cherub angel fish is not expensive either. I think you can probably get it for about 70, 80 quid, which is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. If I mention to people 70, 80 quid for a fish, they go, you're mad. But in reefing terms, as we know, 70, 80 pounds for a fish is
it's cheap.
It's not that expensive, is it?
No, absolutely. I'm sure about that hawkfish. I'm sure what's he called? Reef Dog did a video today. I watched it, and I'm sure he included the hawkfish.
Is that the scarlet one?
Yeah, I'm sure it was the scarlet hawkfish.
Okay,
yeah, I'm sure he included that in it in favorite fish to add to a tank, to add to his tank and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure he added that in his one. So yeah, they must be good. So there's that much choice, isn't there, what you can have with fish though, Paul? You know what I mean? You could be lost with it all, couldn't you? You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just like you said, it's just like the size of the tank and what's best for it and stuff like that, innit? You know what I mean? Because we do see some people putting stupid things in small tanks, don't we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it also comes to like how many you should have in it, don't you? You know what I mean? How many fish you should have in a tank? People's opinions are different, aren't they? You know what I mean? Some people say if you have smaller fish, tiny fish, you can add more, etc. But it's not about the space. It's about like the hidey holes in it, you know, where they sleep at night and where they feel comfortable and safe. So I don't know.
I think also, I mean, I could put 5, 6, 7, 8 fish in there, small ones.
Yeah.
But then your bio load goes up. And
Absolutely.
I'm not one of those that is really conscientious. So therefore I want to take it easy. And for me, having a lighter bio load makes a difference. You want enough bio load so you get your nitrates and your phosphates and all that to help the tank.
Absolutely.
But I don't want to have really high nutrients because of the amount of fish I've got. Because then obviously you've got to feed it more and everything else. And if you've got more fish, you probably have to feed more. Because also you've got to just keep them happy and stop the infighting.
Absolutely.
So
well, don't get a flame hawk, because Cottage Reef saying there that he has very expensive dinner preferences. He likes cleaner shrimp, peppermint shrimp, and any shrimp. So yeah, so if you're adding them in, Paul, don't stay away from that one.
Well, I've got I won't go for that. I've got a peppermint shrimp in there, as you know. So I do like shrimp. So it needs to be one that's not going to dine out on shrimp.
The zoo, his son had a hawkfish, cracking wee thing, he says. Lemon peel, lemon peel, they're nice.
Write that down.
The zoo, defo, a coral eater. That one is a pretty fish. Yeah, I've seen them lemon peels. Coral eater. I mean, you know what? Any fish could nip at a coral. I mean, I caught my thing. Funny enough, my clownfish. Yeah, never ever seen them before. Yeah. I don't know whether they were eating a zoa or what, or I don't have a clue. But they took a liking to some of those scrambled egg zoas that I've got on the rack. Yeah. And I don't know whether it was the colour of it or what. Or they thought, I'm getting a bit peckish. I'm going to have a munch on this. And I could have swore they were eating the zoa. I could have swore it. They were munching on it. You know what I mean? And I've never, ever, ever seen them go anywhere near them. You know what I mean? They just swim past them. Or what? Or I don't know whether maybe a bit of that food, the food that I make. Yeah, maybe a bit might have stuck to it, and it was. Well, it looked as if because I fed it about half an hour before, so maybe there might have been a bit of food stuck on it, and it just looked as if it was eating. But any fish can go for any coral, can't they? They take a liking to it, like my cleaner wrasse. My cleaner wrasse at my clam, mate, at my clam. Do you know what I mean? So, and yet you would never have thought that it would have at my clam. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't get told that it would eat a clam. I just caught it. You know what I mean? So, but by that time it was too late. You know what I mean? It started to die. The clam. So obviously, that got well. It didn't get took out. It jumped out of the tank a couple of days later and
I
died.
remember you saying.
Yeah, but
I think because I mean I've had a Regal tank for about 3 years and didn't have a problem with it. But then you see other people had Regal tanks, they're okay, and all of a sudden they turn, and then known to munch on coral as well. So I think it's not just some corals more often than not eat. There will be some that don't usually, and all of a sudden they can turn. So I think it can be hit and miss. But I do try and I mean if I want to have loads of coral in the tank, then I would definitely avoid those fish that are well known for eating corals. Although if I move that around, then it won't be a problem.
Yeah, Mogsy, that other picture the other day was insane. Tank looks great. Looking forward to see you. Yeah, Lee, I am going to be paying a visit up there. I spoken to Lee. Leave a comment, Lee, what shop it is, or go over to his Instagram and check him out. It's in Leeds, so I said I'm going to go over and pay a visit. I don't know about buying it. Well, I'm not going to be buying any coral, but I need some more cleanup crew for the tank. So I said I'll be buying some of that, but I'm going to go over and check his shop out. So yeah. Leave a comment which shop it is. I've forgotten which one it is now, Lee. Forgive me, but yeah, I'm definitely going to come over, mate, and I appreciate it. Paul's put love a bounce. Yeah, bounce mushroom. I love them. Obviously, you know what happened to mine, so I'm not even going to try that again. Let's have a look. The zoo. My fox face had a nip at my scrambled egg zoas. Yeah, exactly. I don't know whether it's just them. John, you can have my Valentine Puffock because he's going on Sunday, so he's getting rid of the things. And then Paul's put, has anyone seen the new Red Sea desktop range? Any thoughts? We spoke about this, didn't we? We spoke about this the other week, didn't we?
I don't know if we touched.
Briefly touched about it, didn't we? Yeah.
So I like the idea. So I got this with all the kit and everything else, and I think if you want to buy some other kit and you know exactly what you want, or you got some secondhand kit or you're downgrading, I think it's ideal. Because if I have a look at this one, I think the desktop Peninsula is 300 and something odd quid. So you just get the tank. I'm not too sure if you get the sponges and all of that. I'm not too sure. But you definitely don't get like the lights, the return pump, and the other stuff that you get on the auto top off and stuff like that. So I think you do get some people that buy this and then they upgrade or they change things out. And I think if you change out too much, it's definitely more cost effective to buy the desktop version and then your old lights. I mean, so far, I love the lights on this. I think they're really good. They're really easy to use. The app's really easy to use as well. And I read some comments, some people having problems trying to, when they first get it, to get the app to work, to link with the light. I had none of those problems with that. The auto top up, I think is fine. It only lasts about 2 days, and then you got to top it up. But to be fair, I'm always messing around with tank feeding and stuff like that, so that isn't a problem. So I'm going to stick with the stock auto top up. And I think for me, it's just if I don't have many fish, I probably won't have a skimmer.
No.
And then the return pump, I said, Steve, I don't think he was on. I'm having problems with the return pump. It's still not too noisy. And I get more noise from this tank than I did from the 5-foot tank.
I
mean, make that.
Are you sure? It's not touching. It's not touching the sides, is it?
There's definitely some vibration. Apologies for repeating myself earlier on. I put sponge around it. I tried filter floss around it. I've done all of that, and it's not as if it kind of needs to bed in because it's bedded in. So and I can see that Paul said he upgraded everything. Yeah, if they're going to upgrade everything, there's no point in getting it as a all-in-one. Well, obviously it's an all-in-one with the thing, but I mean all-in-one where you get all the kit. But if you're going to keep a lot of the stuff, then I would go with that. Because I think when I added up the cost of lights and everything you put on it, it's more expensive than actually just going for the tank. But I think if you want to get your own things, I would definitely. I think it's a brilliant idea. And I've got to say, I might have been tempted to just go for the tank because I've got spare lights. I've got, obviously, I've got an auto top off. I could have used other stuff on it and probably maybe saved a bob or two. But if I look at the light I've got, it would have been an XR15 Gen 3 This is much better than a Gen 3. It's a much better light. But then a Gen 3 is what? 7 years old?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what's
so
fair
what
whack,
can you
innit?
say?
Yeah. Exactly.
But I think Paul, you're right. If you're going to upgrade everything, there's no point.
No, there's no point. No.
On that.
So Lee's shop is Coral Reef Aquatics is, and to check him out, go on Facebook. So head over to there, check him out, and like I said, he's also got a Facebook. So check him out on the Facebook as well and see what you think of him, because I'm going to definitely go over and pay a visit. It's just I'm working all the time, so hopefully maybe a Sunday I think I might pop over and see what's happening over there. But yeah. Let's have a look. So, what classes as a desktop?
I think it's because they've sold it as a desktop because it can fit on a desktop. Yeah. And I think they want to differentiate the name from the Red Sea. This one's obviously the Red Sea Max Nano Peninsula.
Yeah.
And the other one, I think it's just Peninsula Desktop.
Yeah.
So I think that's just the way they differentiate. I mean, obviously this can sit on a desk, and obviously Jay's one does sit, I think, on a desk, doesn't it? He's Max Nano. Yeah. I think it's just a way of them differentiating between the two. I think that's the only difference between it.
Yeah.
Upgraded everything.
That's it. That's it. There's no real point, like you said, Paul. If you might as well just get the standard one that comes with all the kit in it. You know what I mean? Simple. If you're going to update it or upgrade it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
John. I bought a few fish from Cellar Inc. My copper on great quality. Yeah, no, it is. It's good stuff from there. He has tons. I know. I've seen it. Jay used to buy a lot of his stuff from there, didn't he? As well. Scott's also put a jawfish.
Yeah, I just put that down. Thanks, Scott.
Gen 4. Paul's put Gen 4 are the best. Beat Gen 5, Gen 6. Well, I don't know about that, mate. I mean, my Gen 6, like freaking hell, yeah, bang on. I've got no problems whatsoever with mine. The growth from the SPS is crazy. So, but I've never had Radion, so I can't comment. You know what I mean? I'm not a Radion connoisseur. So at the end of the day, I can only go off what I've seen. You know what I mean? So, and I mean,
I've got Gen 4s in the tank in the garage, and before that, obviously, I had Gen 3s, and the difference between the 4s to the 3s, there's a massive step up in those. I would say Gen 4s are really good, and they can grow cogs really, really well. And if you look, you can pick them up at really cheap prices as well. So if you're looking, getting into hobby, you don't mind secondhand lights, getting a Gen 4, I think they're brilliant, and they'll grow anything that you put in. Any experience I've had around SPS, LPS, and Zoas and everything, and the color is really good on them as well, and the spread isn't bad. I haven't had a 5 or 6, so I can't comment on that. But 4 is a
Cottage Reef. No, I agree, mate. Well, like I said, I mean, you're the man. You've had them all, haven't you? You know what I mean?
I've had the latest ones, but I've had a 2,
yeah.
I've had a 3, and I've had a 4, and you would expect all of them to be different and better. But the 4 was a big step up compared to the 3 and the 2.
Yeah, for sure. Cottage Reef's put J Bow's return pump through. I have to agree, mate. I think I mean, you all know my pump died. I had the J Bow DC 4000 return, and I had that from day one in my 170. No issues. When I swapped over from the 170, I put it straight onto this one, and it only just died about 5-6 weeks ago or something, 7 weeks ago, and so that's 4 and a bit years, and it cost like 80 quid, 75 quid. You know what I mean? It was dead on silent. You know what I mean? What's that noise? Bloody hell. That's not me, is it?
No, it's me.
Oh, is that you? So yeah. And then, like I said, I bought so I went out and I bought the J-Cod because it changed it. I think it's changed its name, or is it the same company? J-Bow and J-Cod. I think they're the same company, aren't they? Or something. I'm sure they are.
Because it was the same boxes. I'm not 100%. I think they are.
I think they are. And anyway, I went out and bought the similar one. The same one. Oh, sorry, no, tell a lie. I bought the 6,000. I think it was a 6,000. I think. So I bought the slightly bigger one, and it just had a different controller on it. You know what I mean? It showed you the watts but it went up as opposed to percentages. You know what I mean? And it's dead silent, mate. I mean, I have no issues with them whatsoever. I think they're fantastic. And for the money and for the price of them, you can't argue. You know what I mean? Really, really good pumps.
I've got to say that the return pump I might consider is the TMC ones, the ones that look like a bullet.
Yeah,
I must admit, I fancy getting those because the shape is quite nice. I think it's quite slim, so it'll fit in the back chamber quite easily, and also it's controllable. So if I go for another return pump, I think I'll go for that. I've had a Jacob before many years ago. I've had Eheim pumps as well. I think Eheim pumps are really good. The only thing is they're quite difficult to control. They're usually on the actual pump itself, but I think Eheim are really reliable. So I think I might go for that because it's controllable and it's something a bit different and new. And I've heard good things about them as well. So if I do go for a new return pump, it'll be that. Yeah,
for sure. Let's have a look. Ailey's put she also likes the little twin spot gobies and barnacle blennies. Never even heard of half of these fish. What's she saying? Bloody hell!
What was it?
A barnacle blenny, twin spot goby. I've heard of that, but I've never heard of a barnacle blenny before. Paul's put not as good as the 4. They have more power than the 5 and the 6. Yeah, they might have more power than the 5 and 6, but technology has evolved. The light, the LEDs that they put in them and stuff like that, the sensors, all the CPUs and everything that they put in them. That's the difference. What they changed. You know what I mean? They might not power. Look, was it? Yeah, it was not Radeon. It was AI, wasn't it? Remember with the smaller puck style. What was the 16 ones, wasn't it, or something? Yeah. Remember when they reduced? There was a big uproar because they reduced the power, didn't they? You know, on a software, on a firmware, yeah. And they reduced the power because they said that they were burning the lens. It was burning the lens.
Oh, I'd heard about burning the lens.
So they reduced the power on them, didn't they? And everyone went mad, saying we're paying X amount of money and we're not even getting the full potential out of them. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was because it was burning the lenses or something like that. But I had it on that little frag tank. I had one of them on that frag tank when that update came. And you seen how good it grew corals. I had to get rid of the frag tank in the end because all the corals grew too quick. They'd all outgrown it. You know what I mean? So I don't know what.
Yeah, the thing I like about the Gen 6 is that over a 3-foot tank, they're saying you need 1 XR30 Gen 6, whereas a lot of 3-foot tanks you need two lights. I mean, over mine, I got 2 XR15s, but I like the idea of splitting the pucks.
Yeah.
But they're Gen 4s and they do fine in a 3-foot tank. So definitely the 6s with the spread they've got them and the power, it can keep a 3-foot tank working from corner to corner. I haven't seen it, but that's what I've seen.
Yeah. Techers Reef, I've got the 1200 DC on my Red Sea Nano. Just got the TMC 1500 to try out. Yeah, is that the one that you're talking about, Paul?
I think it might be. So, so Techers, have you actually got that working? Because I think is it a DC pump? Because there's one of them that is obviously quieter. Yeah. I think it's a DC pump. So it'd be interesting to see how quiet it is. So I think I'll have to see. Yeah. And also with 1500, I can obviously adjust it.
You won't have to run it as high, will you?
No, exactly. I can turn it down. I haven't got a power head in this, and I don't really plan or want to have a power head. I'm trying to run it with as minimal kit as possible, just to see if can you run a small tank really, really easy, hardly any kit, and just see how that works. Yeah. So I don't really want to get another power head for it. And also it's less wires, less mess. So if I can get a more powerful power head, return pump, that will do fine.
The zoo, Fish Palace, Yasha Goba and a pistol shrimp. Sink a piece of PVC pipe in the sand, glue some rubble around it, and camouflage it that way. The shrimp will live where you want him.
Brilliant.
And you can see him. Yeah, they are good. I do like the chemistry between them two. Or Yasha Gobas and the pistol shrimps. They're fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Midas Blenner, Haley's put. Paul's put the energy saver LEDs. Exactly. That's right, mate. Let's have a look. See if anything. Fish Palace. Any ideas on a Biomi tank like corals? like corals and fish from one region. Oh, right. I don't know.
I could go down that route. I think what I'm most likely going to do is I've got a pair of clowns, and the only reason why I got a pair of clowns is that I fancy having a NEM tank. So at the moment, I've just got hardy corals in there just to see how the tank's evolving. Grow amounts like candy canes, got acan, got some zoas, got a recordia in there as well. I'm probably next going to put some chalice in there, but then they may well be just temporary corals, because once I know those corals are growing out, it's just a good way of seeing that, make sure it can take corals. And then once that's all okay, maybe 6 to 9 months, I'm going to put a NEM in there. And then if I build out the NEMs, I'll probably take those corals out and put them in another tank. So that's the only way I think I'm going, which would be a all anemone tank with a pair of clowns, which is obviously in there, and then get a couple of other fish, and then just keep it nice and easy, decent bio load, but not too high. And just one that's really easy to take out. And also, I've never kept NEMs before, because they always go walkabouts in the end, like your one has, Steve. And I know trying to get them out is a nightmare. Yeah. So if I'm going to go NEMs for the first time, it'll be all in, which means the whole tank would be NEMs, which I do like the idea of that if I can get that going, because you get some brilliant flow. Eventually, the clowns will host, but I'm not fussed about that, because I've got clowns that host all kinds of things in other tanks. But it's just really to have NEMs and to try them out, because they look fantastic when you see a NEM tank.
Oh, mate, I've said it all along. I mean, I just like those, like the clown harem tanks, you know, where you see them and they've got about 40 little clownfish in it, and it's just like covered in bubble tip anemones and stuff, with all those clownfish all going in and out, and then you feed them and you see them like they come in and then they come out and they're in and out, and they're just fantastic. I absolutely love them, mate. I'd love those sort of tanks. And if I had the space, I would probably do something like that myself, mate, because I really do like them. But like you said, it's I mean, in my tank, I mean, looking at my tank now, you wouldn't even believe the difference. I've done another video, and it's like I've changed it totally. It's crazy now. But and I thought to myself, I've blocked that anemone in. I thought, I've done a good job here. I've blocked it in, and then lo and behold, it finds the smallest hole imaginable, and decides to pop its head through it. Do you know what I mean? And now it's like all over the show. It's right on the front now of the scape. But touch wood, doesn't seem to be touching anything. So fingers crossed it stays there. If it stays there, then I'm laughing. Do you know what I mean? But now it's just escape. Now I've just got to do a little bit of escaping on where the new rock scape is, and then just get a couple. I'm just going to get 2 higher end SPS frags, and that's it, because I made the mistake, like I said, of overcrowding the other side. You know what I mean? I'm not going to make that mistake again. But on the next video, people will be able to see what I've done.
It's a bit like
coming out
similar. I've had Aptasia before, and I've put a piece of putty over the Aptasia, and all of a sudden it goes in and it pops out somewhere else, and you think, how did it do that? Exactly. And then you keep on covering the holes until you can't see it anymore. So I suppose the NEM has done that, hasn't it?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. They do. They just, and it's huge. It's a huge anemone, you know. It's crazy, mate. The size of, and it's probably come through the size of a hole, of a 5p piece. And it's like, how the hell, you know what I mean? It's crazy how they've done it, how it does it. But it's done it, and it is what it is. There's nothing I can do.
I'd say there's a comment up by Paul about keeping a UK cold water coral reef tank. And I've got to say, I didn't think that we had much of a choice around the UK until I watched the Fish Locker? I'm trying to think of the YouTube channel. The guy who's based in Cornwall.
Right.
What's his channel? And he goes snorkeling around Cornwall. The Fish Locker, that's it. And when you see he does snorkeling, Ross shared some of the videos a couple of years ago. And you can see what's around the UK coast, around the anemones. Obviously, you want to put it in, but you've got some lovely wrasse. And when you see some of the corals that we've actually got off of our coast, obviously they don't compete the ones in Indo, but
no,
I can't believe how nice the kind of corals and things we've got around the UK.
Yeah.
The only thing, I think someone's put a couple of comments in there around keeping the tank cool in the summer.
Yeah.
And I think I'd struggle with that. It's not even in the summer, is it? Because you keep it in the house.
Mm.
And I think Paul's put in there about keeping it about, what, 14, 15 degrees? You'd have a chiller on most of the time, wouldn't you? I think on that.
Have to.
So,
right.
But I mean, if you look at it, I'd love to go snorkeling off the coast of Cornwall. I'm sure there's other places in the UK which has got as clear water and has probably got as nice corals in that. But just a variety of different things, and you've got the kind of the different seaweeds and algae and other stuff like that. It looks superb, only because I wasn't expecting anything like that. But, it looks really good.
Yeah. I mean, when I went to Cornwall, we went to Pennyporth, and there was like little pools, like little pools where you walk on the beach, and I actually seen an anemone. It was like an anemone, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm racking my brain, like, anemones in England, what the hell? But like you said, it was just like in this little pool. Yeah. It wasn't nothing spectacular, like you see what we have in our tanks, you know what I mean? Yeah, but it was definitely an anemone, all the tentacles all swinging out and all that. And I was like, what in hell? Never thought of it. But like you said, I mean, there is some fantastic tanks out there, cold water and stuff like that. I mean, I'd probably be scared to do something like that because obviously I don't know anything about it. So, I mean, I don't know. Suppose if you don't give it a go, you'll never know, will you? You know what I mean? Let's see. We have the biggest cold reef system in the world. You're right there, mate. Rich Matty, the girl from Simple Aquarium, has done a Nem reef. I love how she opens her vids by walking on the beach. Looks amazing. Absolutely. 100%. The Cornwall guy.
Yeah, that's the fish locker guy.
And some nice urchins too. Paul, he catches them.
Yeah, he does a lot of, as someone's put in there, he catches a lot of fish, does some nice cook-ups of them.
He cooks it?
Yeah, no, I don't know about the urchin, but he does cook. Right. He catches some lovely crab, lobster, and I think about, oh my God, the cost of a big lobster like that. And then he goes back, and there's another guy he goes into this other guy's kitchen, this other guy cooks a lot of stuff, and then sometimes he does barbecues on the beach. It's absolutely brilliant. And I've got to say, if I lived down Cornwall way, I'd be tempted to have a boat and
definitely
go fishing down there, because you could get some lovely fish down there.
Yeah, for sure, mate. 100%. Paul, you're right there. Nothing looks like a reef tank in the wild. Exactly, mate. 100%. Zoo, I had a cold water river set up when I was a kid. Sticklebacks, etc. Sticklebacks. Wow, yeah. Mark's Aquatics on YouTube does a UK saltwater tank. Wow.
Oh, really?
I might check that out.
What's that? Mark's Aquatics.
Mark's Aquatics, yeah, I'll check that out myself, actually, to be fair. Fish locker. Yep. So we're right down at the bottom now. So we've caught up to most of the comments. Yep. I'm just having a quick look.
So Steve, so what? Because I saw your last video.
Yeah.
And you put some new rock in there. You're starting to move some pieces on. So did you manage to get rid of the clam? Because the clam was going, wasn't it?
Yeah, the clam's gone. That went the other day. There's a guy supposedly coming tomorrow or Sunday, he said, and he's supposed to be collecting the zoas that are on the floor, some of the montes, a bit of the monte, and what else did he say? Oh, and he wanted to collect some of the Duncans as well. So that right hand section where the majority of it should be clear, really, or clearer. Do you know what I mean? That way, it gives me a bit of space to be able to move things down, move things across, and then I've just got my cyanarino, which I was going to put right where that clam was because it's getting squashed at the back. Yeah. Now things have changed now. So now what's happened is I've took all my euphilia off that rock now. So no euphilia are on the rock, and they're all stuck on the other piece of rock, which was the Goniopora rock. So now they're all on that rock now. Yeah.
So they all lower down.
They're all on the floor.
Move
Yeah.
them down to the sand bed.
They're all on the floor. Rock. Yeah. Absolutely, they're all on the floor, and I've got to admit, the floor. I don't know whether it's the foot. I don't know whether it's the flow, but they just seem to be dead puffy, right? Really, really big, you know, extended. Yeah. Now it can't. Obviously, the light is reduced slightly. I looked back on my lighting, and I think on the floor it was like 160-ish on the floor where it was there. Whereas up where they were, it was around about 270, 265, 270. So it's reduced by about 100, but. I mean, it doesn't seem to have done anything to him. The pull-up extension on him is fine. And yeah, it just looks totally different, to be fair. It looks really good. And then what I've done is I've moved the meat coral as well, yeah, and the scholar. And basically a bit of the idea of that was Reef Builders. Remember when you know, the great late Jake, I did that tank and he put all those scullies on the rock. Remember, he put all the scullies on the rock in one of his tanks. And it came from there. I thought, I was watching it as I just was watching Reef Builders the other day, just looking back at a few of his videos. And I was like, flipping it, you know what? I could do that with my scully. So I stuck my scully up where the torch corals were. And it puffs up really. It's absolutely incredible, mate. It's puffed up really, really. It loves it. I don't know if it's the flow or what. I don't have a clue, but it loves it. So on my next video, you'll see exactly what I've done because I've changed it all. And it looks really, really good. I'm quite happy with it, to be fair. Just need to get a couple more corals now, and stick them on that rock and leave them to grow out, and that is it. Then that is me, mate.
So what corals you thinking of getting to put on that rock?
I need to get something unique. Somebody put it down in the comments what I need. I want something special. It has to be special, you know what I mean, to put on it, mate. It needs to.
So that's one of those ones where frag that you want to grow out. So it's going to be a small frag or something.
Absolutely.
And will it have enough room then to grow out?
Yeah. I'm not gonna. Absolutely, I'm not going to make that mistake, like I said before. Yeah,
I've done that as well.
Where I put them all together, and now I'm having that money warfare. I'm snapping things. Some corals are dying, like they're bleaching out because they're being stung by another one. And it's like a fight for survival, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's what they do. They kill each other. It's the bottom line of it. If you put them too close together, one of them's going to win, and that's what I'm getting now all the time. Seem to be getting that. And I know, and another thing that come when I mix me solutions up for me stuff. Obviously, you all know I'm dosing like around 310, 315 mil of that solution of each component each day. Yeah. Now I'd only recalibrated my KH keeper maybe a week ago.
Yeah.
And I kept on getting notifications saying it's too low, it's too low, it's too low, it's too low in work. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? I thought there's something wrong with it. KH keeping it, you know what I mean? So what I did was when I come home, I opened a new bottle of Hannah reagent, new bottle of that. I opened that and I got the Salifert test kit as well, tested the KH keeper, and it was coming back saying that my KH had dropped to 7.2. 7.2, and I thought, nah, that's wrong.
What was it? That's down from what, Steve?
From 8.4, 8.5, which is what it was consistent at. So I'm like, have I mixed the solution wrong? You know what I mean? But I didn't mix the solution wrong. You know what I mean? I knew what I do. I know what I do. I do it all the time. So I thought, what have I done? So what I did was, I only put 4 liters in. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to mix another batch, and I tipped the whole batch away. And I mixed another batch up just to be on the safe side. That I did. Maybe it was just, you know, my mind was took off it, and I just didn't put enough powder in. And I mixed another 5 liters of it up. Yeah, tested it, and lo and behold, it come back exactly the same. It came back saying that it was like only like 7.2, 7.3 of alkalinity. I'm like, what the hell? Used the Hannah checker. The Hannah checker came back at 7.6, and the Salifert test kit come back at like 6.9 or something. It was. I was like,
so it definitely dropped.
It's dropped. Yeah, it is definitely dropped. So I'm like, what the hell? Do I need a buffer here or what? So what I did was I just dumped quite a bit of it into the tank, extra. But what I did was I think I mixed it, but it was not concentrated. It was obviously a more potent stuff, and I just tipped it in, slowly over a couple of days, just tipped it into the tank as an extra. and it's now moved it up to like 8.3 now. So we're at 8.3 again, yeah, which is what I like it at, between 8 and 9. I'm okay with that. That's fine. But when it dropped to 7, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? So I thought, I can't be dosing anymore. I cannot be dosing, like, I can't be putting it up to 350 here. And this is when we're going to be going on to this Cal Quasser situation more earlier rather than later. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I can't keep doing that, mate. I tested me at calcium, and my calcium had dropped. My calcium was sitting at 370, 380 ish. So that's slightly lower. But my magnesium was bang on. It was like 1400, my magnesium. So yeah, just my calcium and my alkalinity, which means that the corals are growing. They're growing a lot quicker than I think. You know what I mean? They must be. I don't know what you think, or if anybody knows.
So a couple of things. Have you checked have you checked your salinity?
Yes, 1.025.
Right, so that was bang on, because obviously if that's out, that could cause things.
Yeah, bang on.
What was do you know what your pH is?
Yeah, it's 8.18. 8.18
that's
is
okay. So what it could be is you've moved your torches and you've got rid of some coral. You've moved your other corals around. They're now getting better flow. They're not getting, so they're taking more nutrients, and they might be dry. So if you think about all your torches where they were on the rock, if they're all huddled together, they're not getting the flow and the freedom and the light around all of them. I know your light's lower, but I find it's a bit like in gardening. If you cut a lot of stuff back and you create more flow and you get more sunlight and you get more of a breeze through the plants, you get extra growth and they grow a lot quicker.
Right.
Because they can just get to the core a lot better. And you find that if you was to frag your SPS, so you get a better flow for all of them, they'll take up the nutrients quicker, take up the nutrients easier, and potentially that helps the growth. So if it is that the take up is better, it could be because they're in a better location where they've got better flow and they're just enjoying life. It's a bit like your scholar, you moved it up. It's getting the nutrients, the flow's, pushing all the nutrients past, so it's capturing it all. And it could be,
Could be because I found it very strange, and I thought there's no way it could have dropped by like 1.2 DKH like in a few days. It just, I don't know what, and that's why I thought to myself, did I mix the batch right? Because I had a few things going on in the house at the same time. You know, the kids were arguing and this, that, and the other, and I'm like shouting, going, calming them down, and then I'm mixing it, and then the dog's going mad, and I'm like, so I thought, have I not mixed it right? You know what I mean? Hence the reason why I tipped that out, and I mixed a brand new batch. Just to be on the safe side. I thought I can't be doing this. I can't be going to work and then thinking to myself, have I mixed like a really diluted solution? I'm not putting enough in there, and risking it, with a complete like crash of alkalinity. So I just basically thought I mixed a new batch, spot on with it, 80 grams per 1 litre, spot on, mixed it up, and then I put it back in, tested it, and lo and behold, it came back exactly the same. So it wasn't, I must have mixed it right. It was just like, obviously, it's something going on with the tank. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Paul's made another comment in there about precipitation. So because obviously you dose a lot, and you've got lots of different. So you dose obviously your alkalinity, your magnesium, and your calcium separate. So a bit like with the Red Sea elements, you're supposed to dose them with sufficient time in between, so that they don't precipitate. So could it be?
I absolutely, well, basically I have it on the Komodo, so I have it set up on the Komodo with a 15-minute time in between them. So obviously the calcium will dose, then the 15 minutes later the alkalinity, and then 15 minutes later the magnesium will dose. You know what I mean? So I have it like that, and I have that running all the way. That's exactly how I run it, 24 hours a day, every hour on the hour, exactly like that. So there is no precipitation with it. And the good thing, and the thing with it, is I checked that to see whether the tubes might be blocked. I thought, is the tube blocked? The tubes, if you remember, I took the out and I the tubes further across, yeah. And I thought, have I blocked the tube? Have I blocked it? You know, like with the cables and stuff, maybe, and no alkalinity, not enough alkalinity is getting into it. But I checked all the tubes and everything was fine. I'd done a calibration on the Kamoa just to make sure that everything was fine. And lo and behold, it was spot on. I didn't even need to do a calibration. It was bang on. So yeah, I mean, like you said, Paul, it could be exactly what you said, mate. It could just be like, because they're all more in the open, things are more being spread out. Maybe they're using up more solution, but there's no way I can keep those to like 350 mil of that alkalinity. It's impossible, mate. It'll dilute me water, the salinity. So I can't keep doing that. It's impossible. So I'm gonna have to get onto one of these pumps. But you know, these pumps are they're like hen's teeth, aren't they? Try to find these stepper pumps. You know what I mean? It's crazy, mate. You know, the ones that you want, it's dead hard to get. So I don't know. We'll have to figure something out, I'm sure. But it's just for the time being, it was confusing, you know, to me how it dropped so quick. Paul's put 20 minutes.
So you still can't find a stepper motor.
To be truthful, yeah, I wanted the Vortec one. You know, the Ecotec one. I wanted. The Versa. Yeah. I wanted that one, and you can't get them. You cannot get them ones, mate. You know what I mean? So those ones. So then there was the next one was the D&D. You know, the D&D one. The D&D, is it the P1? Parker's Reef done a video on one of them. Is it the P1 Pro or something?
Not sure.
But when I read reviews, people said they're good, and then some others were saying it wouldn't trust them with the build, you know, the build quality and stuff like that. And if it was left to a couple of people, if it was left to them, they'd wait a little bit longer and just to see how they go on. You know what I mean? Just to see,
because they're new out, just to see if they were good, or do they bring out Gen 2 or
absolutely,
something like that?
Yeah. Which I totally get, because I always say, you know what I mean, you shouldn't buy something that's only just been released, because you know you're gonna get teething problems, aren't you? You know what I mean? So but go with something that's been out for a while, which you know obviously the Versa's been out for a while, hasn't it? You know what I mean? So and a lot of people
even with them, I remember when they first come out, there was a lot of people saying the first batch they were quite noisy and everything else, and of course I haven't heard that recently, but you don't seem to see many of them around, because they had problems getting the parts from, didn't they? And I think we discussed that before about the parts they put in there were the same parts that were in, was it in car doors or car windows or something like that? And they to change the parts, and because they couldn't get them because Ford and other companies like that couldn't get the chips.
Absolutely.
I think you were saying about that. So that's the reason why they're not around. But I don't know. I mean, we just don't see them over here, do we? Whether there's plenty of them in America and we just don't see them here, which is unusual, because we usually get all the eco stuff, tech stuff over here. But
absolutely. But so I mean, like Darren said, the AAC have the Kamoa. Now I like the Kamoa. I've got, like I said, I've got that Kamoa X, the X4, and I can't say enough praises about that. The only thing I just don't like about it is it's too big and bulky compared to the ones nowadays. You know what I mean? So that's the only issue I have with it. But I say it time and time again. I've literally calibrated that 5 times in the 3.5 years I've had it, and I don't need to calibrate it, because I know I could put the tube, the test tube thing right there, 10 mil, and it'll dose 10 mil. It's absolutely spot on, mate. I've never had no issues with it. So with a Kamoa, I don't have a problem with it. And like you said, Darren, they've got the Kamoa stepper in, the top one, which they do is bang on, and I you know what, I love it. I don't get me wrong, but it's too bulky. It's too big again. You know what I mean? It's dead chunky and stuff, and it's like I've got limited space in the tank. You know what I mean? Of where to put things. I can't screw any more things to the wall. You know what I mean? My missus is not going to be happy with that. Now, my miss, you know, could I stand it on top of, like, say, the KH keeper? Could I do that? You know what I mean? Maybe stand it on top of it. Maybe I could do that. But then again, though, I'd probably think to myself, knowing my stupidity, when I'm going on one and I'm moving things about, I'll probably drop it. You know what I mean? And break it. So it'll probably have to be screwed at some point. But I mean, with the Versa is small. It can go in the cupboard. You know what I mean? It can actually go in. People say, yeah, it's good enough to go into the actual where the sump is. You know, even though you might get like you know like because I was thinking, what about like say you know the like the you know the condensation and stuff like that in your cabinet. People say that they run it in there, and even that one arm reefer. You know the one arm reefer who's on Instagram. Lee, he was saying that he has them running in his sump, you know, in the sump, no problems whatsoever. So that's probably a reason I was going to go for the plug. You know what I mean? Load of people use them and spot on with them. So that's the reason why I was going to go for it. Just can't get them. You know what I mean? You just cannot find them anywhere. No stores have them. Just a limited supply of them. You know what I mean? What's going on? And stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised really that, you know, like Reef Factory haven't brought one out. You know what I mean? They brought everything else out, but they've not brought a stepper motor out. They brought a pro version, large one, yeah. But when I asked in Kraken Corals, they said, "Oh yeah, it's a stepper, but I thought it's not made for running 24 hours." So, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna buy one of them.
If it's a stepper motor, stepper motors are built on the basis they run 24/7. So it may be that the unit's not designed for that, but the stepper motor is designed for 24/7.
Well, maybe it's the unit. Maybe it's the unit and the software. Maybe then, But when I asked him, oh yeah, I don't think it's intended to just use, you know, all the time sort of thing, you know, like 24 hours, which I would probably want to do. To be fair, it's like to dose it in really, really slowly. You know what I mean? Into it and.
No, I know what you mean. I had one on my on the calcium reactor on the frag tank in the garage.
Yeah,
and they're brilliant. They're really, really good. Really good. So talking about alkalinity.
Yes.
So the tank over here, the alkalinity is about 9.4 to 9.6. And I was thinking, how the hell is it 9.4 to 9.6? Because I used the Red Sea Blue bucket, which has always been around the 8.4.
8.4, 8.5,
and then I saw a couple of posts. I can't remember where I saw a couple of posts. I think it might have been an Ultimate Reef. And other people were saying that their alkalinity has gone up. And when people have been asking questions, they've bought new buckets of the Red Sea Blue.
Yeah.
And they tested the salt water straight out.
Well, it's mixed.
And it's over 9.
Wow.
So, and I hadn't noticed it on the other tanks, because if you're doing a 10% check, if you're doing a 10% water change, and you're also dosing, and you're only changing 10%, you don't really notice it because it's only that. But this is obviously 100% of the new. It's a brand new bucket that I got when I filled this tank up. So this is 100% of the new mix, and I'm not dosing or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone else
has
a Red Sea Blue bucket. And have they noticed or seen anything online about the alkalinity in that being over 9? Because it wasn't just one person who was saying, there was 2 or 3 people saying. I must admit, I haven't tested the salt water straight out of the bucket. I need to do that to see what it is. But it would make sense, because I'm thinking, if I'm putting 8.4 in now, how can it be way over 9?
Yeah, way over 9.
I'm not dosing anything. I know sometimes salinity is all right, because salinity is 1.025, so that's fine. So it's not down to salinity.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother to me whether it's at 8.4 or whether it's 9.6. It makes no odds. I don't really care about what that is, and I like that salt, and I'm not going to change it. I've been using it for years, but I don't know if anyone else has seen that or noticed it, but I haven't looked on the box. I'll have to look on the box and then ask a couple of people, maybe ask a couple of LFS if they've noticed it. But I'm surprised if they have changed the ingredients to their salt, and all of a sudden it's gone 8.4 to 9.6, especially when you look at Coral Pro.
Yeah, but you'd think they change it on the buckets, wouldn't you? If that is the case.
Well, maybe it is.
You know what I mean?
Maybe it is changed on there, and I haven't noticed it.
Yeah.
But I need to have a look at it. But
well, Paul's put Kamoa is D&D, and he's also put D&D have UK Kamoa rights over here, right? Well, fair play, Paul. You know more obviously than I do, anyway. So that's interesting to know. And Darren's put it's a big looking unit. It is, mate. Evening, Gal. Hope you're well, mate. And Paul's put topic of discussion. BRS have owned Apex for a bit now, and God knows they want a one machine to test all parameters. Do we think it's coming? Surely that technology will make marine mainstream. 100% it would, wouldn't it, Paul? You know what I mean? That is what that is one thing what everybody wants, isn't it? Imagine a machine that tests everything, complete everything in your tank. That would be my dream, mate. You know what I mean? Where you never have to test, but you'd have to speak about the accuracy, wouldn't you, of it? You know what I mean? How would they make something like that? That's just like, you know, I don't. You'd have to have a different vial for different testing, because I don't care what anybody says. It won't be able to clean itself that good. You know what I mean? There's still probably like little bits and when the way it tests and stuff. I don't know. It'd be crazy if they could get.
So I think it would. I think it would be good. And obviously you got things like, is it Mastertronic, where it does not everything. But I've known people that have had that and they've stopped using it and sold it. But Triton, I think, just has 3. With Mastertronic, I think, has the phosphate, nitrate, and others. I think the issue is it's going to probably take a couple of generations to get them more accurate. And also, I think a lot of it might be down to user error.
Yeah.
And so because it's quite fiddly to use, I'm only saying from what I've read, so I've never used them before. You think about, you had the KH Keeper, the problems you had with that, the first gen one. If you have that across a lot of them, so I like the idea, but I'm not sure I would buy one until it's it's the market for quite a while, and also the cost of it. I mean, a lot of them are £1,000 plus. There's the Reef Bot. I'm not sure how much the Reef Bot is, but I think that's quite expensive. Is that £1,000? I could be wrong.
I think you're right. And it's a big bulky bit of kit, isn't it?
Yeah, so I like the idea of testing all in one, but also, do you need to test it? Because the thing around the Trident, that tests your alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium, but you can't set your calcium and magnesium to like test once a day or once every 3 days. I think there has to be a minimum number, and then when you buy the reagents, you buy them in a pack with all 3.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, do you really need to test your calcium and magnesium that often? I'm not convinced. But to actually have it for all of them, it does sound really good, but I'm not sure I would go for it. It's my personal view.
I mean, I think after doing a little bit of looking at that Trident, because I thought to me, I did look at it and I thought to myself, you know, what with it would be interesting, you know, like to have it all monitored, everything, and have it on the Apex and stuff like that. But then when I researched it and I spoke to like that Lee, that one-armed reefer, and he was saying like what he does is with his he has his he's got a Trident, and what it's done is it's linked up to a dose, you know, to his dose system, So what happens is he's programmed it. So if his alkalinity is a certain point, then his dose system then doses in the right amount of alk, you know, to keep it so it's stable. And he does it for his calcium and his magnesium. So his tank is super steady, mate, all by these dose systems. And it's just like a complete ecosystem with this Apex. It was like mind-boggling what he was explaining to me. I was like, oh mate, my head is blown away like with this. And he went, oh yeah, you can set it to this, you put a program in on it, and you can say it's you know, if it drops below this, to dose this much in, etc. So it's like, oh mate, I was just like blown away with it all. So
but the thing is though, so I imagine he's got
it's interesting.
I imagine he's got the Apex DOS doses, which I think
he's got them all.
I've got 2 of those. And I've had them since I started the tank over there. They're like bricks. So if you don't think big, they're big. But I tell you what, in the 7 years I had those going, I changed one of the heads on them, and that was it. And I was dosing loads from 40 mil a day up to 200 odd mil a day. I think as a doser, they're absolutely brilliant. But obviously, you need the Apex. But I've got to say, would you trust a Trident and a DOS doser and the measurements you get out there, that you rely on that 100% to adjust the dosing on your alkalinity? Now, how many people would trust the kit to do it automated, that based on that reading, you would dose alkalinity automatically to that? Because I must admit, I don't think I'm brave enough to do it. Would you, Steve?
Well, no, No, I wouldn't make. But you know what? Though, I think it will go to that, though, Paul. At some point, I think it will go to that. You know, where it will be that accurate. You know, like I mean, you know, it's just like that thing. Like you said, I've had a love-hate relationship with my KH keeper. You know what I mean? Yeah. But now that I've got it dialed in, and I've got it, or I thought I did. I thought to myself, I've got it dialed in here now. Yeah. And then when it was reading like 7.2 the other day, so yeah, I was like 7.2. What the hell? And I'm like,
you didn't
no
trust
way.
it, did you?
Yeah, I didn't trust it, mate. And then that was the reason why. Yeah, I knew, I've already got the test kits anyway, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do free alkalinity tests and check them to make sure. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I opened a new batch, a new Hannah reagent, and I tested it with a Salifert, and they were all near enough bang on, mate. They were all near enough spot on.
You knew there was a problem. Well, not a problem, but you knew it had gone down. Yeah.
Exactly. So whereas I would have just said, no, I'm not having that. And then what would I have done? Probably tipped a little bit more in, or, you know, ignore it. And then by that time it drops down to God knows what, 6 point whatever. And then you're in problems, then you're in trouble. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know.
If you fast forward 5 years, we may look back and say, well, that's exactly the way to go. You settle your kit up, you do this, you calibrate it, and bang, off it goes. You got your test kit, you got the test there, you got your doser, you got your reagents, and all of a sudden, that is it. But I mean, let's face it. If you've gone back, when I first started, it was I'm not that long ago. It's only 8 years ago. That would have been a pipe dream, talking about the automation of that, and people were talking about, wouldn't it be great if we had a KH keeper or a Trident and stuff like that? And all of a sudden, the Trident was one of the first, and bang, there was loads that hit the market pretty quick. But they're quite early in their development, aren't they? You think how long they've been out? They haven't been out that long.
No,
but you can see in 5 years' time, all of that is automated, and you're thinking, why on earth would you manually do all of that stuff?
Absolutely, mate. And you know what? I think like one of the leading brands that are going to be doing it, that sort of thing, is going to be Refactory. They're already into it, aren't they? You know what I mean? You know, their ecosystem, what they've set out. And you know what? I think eventually what they will do is they will make a tank. They will design a tank, you know, a fish tank. Yeah. Oh, mate, it's no doubt about it. They'll design one where it's basically everything you buy is going to be on that tank. So it'll be like it'll be like the KH keeper, the dosing pumps, the salinity, everything will be on it'll cost a few quid anyway. I know that for sure. But I'll tell you what, I'll be absolutely mind-boggled, blown away, mate, if they don't start making tanks. To have their whole ecosystem on it. And you know what? It makes sense. It makes sense. They've got the lights. They've got the KH. They've got everything what you need, for a reef tank, for a glass box. That's it. Simple, If they make a tank and put all that stuff on it and sell it as a package, I think they're onto a winner, mate.
So a couple of things. Do they do a return pump or a power head? Because I don't really follow Refactory that much. I've got a couple of bits, but I don't. I mean, because they've obviously got the lights and they've got the auto top off and they've got all that kind of stuff. Have they got? I'm sure
they're designing a power head. I read up on it that they're designing a power head. They're in the process of that. Definite. That's for definite. Yeah. But as for the return pump, I don't think they've got a return pump yet. They've not got a return pump yet. But that'll probably be the next thing on the agenda, mate. You know what I mean? But the power heads, 100%. I've read somewhere that they are making. They're in the process of designing the R&D of making the power heads. You know what I mean? Really? So, really, in theory, the only thing that's missing would be like a skimmer, and a return pump. They're the only two really things.
And then they're all in.
And then they've got all that. Yeah, they've got all of it. They've got the Salinity Guardian, haven't they? They've got the Salinity. They've got the auto top off. They've got the Hannah, the KH keeper. They've got the lights. They'll have everything, mate. By then, you know what I mean?
Russell says they've got the roller mat as well, because I've seen
roller.
That.
Yeah, they've got the roller. So really, in theory, once they've got that tank, mate, they could stick it all on it. How good would it look, though? I've got to admit, it would look like a dog's.
I was just thinking with the tank, you know what I mean? That's a different level of logistics, isn't it? Because putting on a pallet all that other kit, that's okay. But I mean, you know, let's face it, Red Sea and Waterbox. move tanks that are made in China around the world into the UK and every other country. So it's not beyond the wit of someone to do it. It's just, I don't know where's all the refactory stuff made? Is it made
Poland, isn't it?
Is it made in Poland? So I wasn't too sure. I thought it was made in. I thought it was made in Poland because obviously I know it's a Polish company. I didn't think it was out in Asia.
I think it's all made in Poland, mate. The whole lot. Yeah, I think it's all made in Poland. Critical Reef there, going on to your issue, Paul. I've got a new block. I'll test it tomorrow because he's had a little increase as well. So yeah, it might maybe like I said, it might just be. I think
if you're doing a 10% water change and you also dose, I think you will notice it, but I don't think it'll go up as much. You may think, oh, I'm adjusting my dosing because you think either the corals are maybe not, the uptake's not as much, so you won't put it down to the salt. And Darren wasn't Alki from 9.4.
Yeah, from 8.6 yesterday on a Hannah compared to 8.6 from his TMC pre-mixed water. So they must have raised it then slightly and just not put it on the.
I'm gonna do a bit more digging into it because it doesn't make a difference to me because. And if you're happy at 8.4, then why not 9.4? Probably not much difference. I don't think.
Paul's actually put in Scepter. Yeah, I've seen that one before. Have you seen that? That's another one that tests.
And I've seen some posts in it. I haven't really paid much attention to it.
I have seen that. Paul, I got that KH Keeper first gen, sent it straight away. You and me both, mate. You and me both. We both did. Absolutely. It was a nightmare. Cottage Reef, eventually we may arrive when a machine will test and dose. I'm sold. Oh, I'm old, so I doubt I'll see it. Hey, I'm sure you will, mate. Just like what Paul was saying.
5 years.
Yeah, just like what you were saying. 8 years, Paul, you've been in it, innit? You know what I mean? So look how far we've come from there. Do you know what I mean? So, Zepsor Auto Balance, a Spanish company. Can they make a mini version of an ICP tester? Oh, I don't know about that. I think that would be really hard to do, that, wouldn't it? I don't know how they get all the results. I think that could be hard.
I think it's the calibration. Remember that the guy in America, Polo Reef. He's got a ICP machine in the basement or whatever, but he's not used it because you need to be really spot on, and he needs to employ someone or find someone who can then calibrate the machine and everything else. So again, we talk about calibration of just the stuff we've got. So you make a small one, you've probably still got to calibrate, but there's no reason, I suppose, over time you couldn't have a mini kit and you calibrate it. So it'd be a step up from your test kits. A step down from when you send your ICP test off to go through into a lab and everything else.
Yeah. Absolutely, and imagine the cost of that, mate. How much that would be? That we go on about like how much £700 for a KH, just for a KH keeper, mate. You know what I mean? Imagine that. I wouldn't even like to guess. Russell's saying, they're designing pumps, wave makers, the lot, and also, like I said, the roller mat as well.
I think the other thing with the Trident, I don't think I've imagined this. I think over certain time, you have to send it back for it to be serviced.
Right. Trident.
I'm sure, unless I've imagined that, but I'm sure people have had to send it back for servicing and other stuff like that, and they recommend you do it every 18 months. It could be, but I mean, if you have to do that, you're stuffed, aren't you, for a period of time?
I mean, Paul's put refactory stuff does look good, but unless they package the items to make them cheaper. Yeah, they are cheap. You know what? That's what they will do, mate. I think over time, that's what they'll do. You imagine like the packaging, and we talked about this with Don, didn't we? You know, like when he was on our stream about like how much it costs to like send things over in items in like transit and stuff, or individual packaging and stuff like that. You imagine if they just put everything, like you said, in one container. So you had your tank, and then everything was in the sump, etc., mate. They would reduce the price, no doubt whatsoever. You know what I mean? And then, like you said, they could sell it. They could sell the things cheaper. I'm not saying it's going to be. It won't be very, very cheap. Won't be much cheaper, and it's cheaper than they usually sell the items for. But I mean, you never know, don't you? I think they probably. I mean, I don't know. It'll be an expensive. It would be an expensive bit of kit. I'm just trying to rattle it off my head on like how like totaling all and what they're working out at. But if you got like say they did a 350 like mine with the stuff, say the roller mat and stuff like that, I'd probably say with their gear, I'm gonna probably say $4,000, $4,000 I'd say for a 350 with all the kit.
It depends what goes in about how many lights do you get. You get the return pump.
You'll get two.
You get the roller mat. You got the power heads, or they may not do the power heads. See, and then you got the auto top off as well. You've probably got say 5 bits of kit. You might get that kit maybe 10-15% cheaper. Yeah. By putting it in there. I don't know, may make it cheaper than that. I don't know, but you get probably 10-15% off of the individual prices. That's the kind of thing that makes it worthwhile, 15% plus. And then you're all in with that. And it depends on the quality of the tank. That they build, and then the price point they put on those tanks as well.
Absolutely, mate. I'm just getting off the chair here because John has put Mugs here. Have you started dosing manganese? And I certainly have.
The Reef Elements.
I bought some of the Reef Element one, the manganese, and I've started dosing it. Obviously, not going full out for it because I don't know I've not done an ICP test, so I don't know I did one a couple of months ago, wasn't it? Now, you know what I mean? So I don't know really what they are now, but I mean, there was 0 in it, wasn't there, last time? So I know what it was then.
Virtually non-existent.
It was virtually non-existent. Absolutely. So, but it says on here, I think it was like, is it 1 mil per 100 liters or something? So I know that I've got 300 liters.
Is that per week? So is it 1 mil per 300 per week?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't say per week. It just says per. It just says per liters. So it says like 1 mil per 100 liters. So say if my tank is 300 mil, 300 liters, I'm supposed to put 3 mil of that stuff in. You know what I mean? Supposedly, but I haven't. What I did is I bought that. I bought that last week. So I've only been dosing. I only dosed 2 mil of it a week. So I've only put 2 mils of it in. Do you know what I mean? Now I should, in theory, supposedly put 3 mil in, 3 mil in at a time. You know what I mean? But I've just got aired on the thingy of caution just in case, because I didn't know how the tank would react or what. But I've not seen any adverse effects or anything like that. You know what I mean? And the actual Gonioporas, the pink one seems to be looking a little bit better than the other one. I don't know. I think the other one maybe it just might be might not be no survival for that one. Do you know what I mean? To be fair, but fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, it might even help all the others. You know what I mean? All the other corals in the tank. You know what I mean? If there's nothing in it,
so you're gonna gradually increase it, are you? You can go for 2 and just see how it goes, and then get to a certain level.
So I'm going to do this for a month. I'm going to just keep putting 2 mil a week in for a month, and then I'm going to up it to 3 mil a week, which is what it recommends. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just going to do it for a month first, see how it goes, see if there's any adverse effects. If there isn't,
I would do an ICP. So I do an ICP.
You reckon?
Take up. Well, you got.
What after a month?
You got just to see what the level is, because as John's put in there and Laura said before, you don't overdose it because it precipitates, if I can get my teeth in. So, but I would just do that to see what level if it's at, and go from there. So there was one comment above about I think it was Critical Reef. He does auto water changes with a Neptune DOS 10% a week. Now,
that's right.
Do you program that so that it works on both pumps? So you go, it comes in and it goes out, or do you have to manually set one pump to say, I don't know, 10 mil per hour? Obviously, it's more than that. You know what I mean? So, or do you set it up so it does both of the pumps at the same level? As long as you calibrate it, then you're taking out the right amount of water compared to what you're putting in. Because last time I looked, and it was quite a while ago, you had to manually do it with the DOS dosers. But I had a feeling they might have changed one of the programs, so you can say, I want to do 5 liters, and it'll it will set it up on 2 pumps, so one goes out and one goes in. but I'm not too sure. So critical reef, a big
leave the comment below.
Yeah,
John, yeah, you are right, mate. Laura did say that you can't overdose it because it precipitates. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm going to do like you said. To be fair, Paul,
I'd build it up
for the sake of 30
yeah.
quid. For the sake of 30 quid, and it's now like, what do I do? Do I stick with Triton still? Because I've always used Triton for my ICP tests. You know what I mean? Or do a change now? I don't really know like what to do now, really, whether to change or whether to stick with what I know. Because I mean, Triton, it goes to Germany, doesn't it? So it's different in it, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether to stick with Triton or whether to go with the Elements one, because they do one, don't they now? You know what I mean?
I think I would pick one and stick with it, but
yes.
it doesn't mean you should. Then if you change and it's all okay, stick with that, because I think you could have an ICP from 2 or 3 different companies, and some of the elements would come back different. And so what I've seen is that you kind of get one, stick with it. At least you get consistency to see, well, this is what it's a bit like your test kit, isn't it? If you had Salafat, Red Sea, Hannibal lined up, you would get 3 different measurements with the same pot of water, wouldn't you? So therefore, stick with it, because what you want is consistency, even if it's out a little bit. It's a bit like the DD temperature controller. I've seen posts and people have told me, well, it's out by half a degree, it's not accurate. I don't care if that's out by half a degree. All I care is consistent. And if it drops, it bleeps. And if it goes too high, it bleeps. If it's out by half a degree, it don't matter. It's not going to make any difference to the tank in the long run, because what you want is stability, didn't you? So I mean, I use Trident. I haven't had an ICP for a while. I probably need to do one, and I would stick with Trident only because when I try something out, I stick with it unless I get bad service. But if you're going to change, then I would jump and then stick with that one.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing is, because like I spoke to Steve in the shop, you know, from Crack and Corals and stuff, and he was saying there that like obviously, you know, when they do like with the Reef Elements, because the Reef Elements is based over there, isn't it? It's an English, it's a British company, and he was saying like when you do an ICP test, it's like literally like you do it on a Monday and you get your results by like the latest Wednesday. You know what I mean? So I mean that's pretty quick. That, you know what I mean? Last time it took me a while when I got my other ones. In fact, but one of them they lost it, didn't they? Remember, they lost one of them and they sent me another one out, didn't they? Remember?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe I might go with it. I might give the Reef Elements a try, to be fair, the ICP test on that, and just see. And Stu's Reefs, he's put down there. I'll come back to you Critical Reef in a minute, mate. Just bear with me. He put that they're good. ICP took a good, usually back in a few days after posting. If using their products will give you amounts you need to dose to correct any issues. So you don't really need to use their products. It's just giving you a rough idea, isn't it? You know what I mean?
And then that Reef Elements, you remember we went to Cracknam when we met up that time? The guy was there, wasn't he? The owner was there, and he was talking about it, and he was showing pictures of his tank and everything else, and he looked really, really good. And I've got to say, since then, I've seen more LFS, because obviously Dom stopped quite a bit at that time, and I know they still do. Whereas I've now seen it more and more LFS if I've been around different shops. And it's a far more common product than it was then when we met the guy up in up with Dom. Year ago or whatever. So definitely more popular than it used to be.
For sure.
So what's right? Okay, so critical reef age. I pump to do the same amounts of water exchange. One takes water out, one and the other one takes it in. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, you get that?
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Chris, he's thinking of getting a Reef Float auto water changer like Reef Dogs. Look great and very convenient. Yeah, everybody raves about them. Especially
everyone I've known who's had one of those speak really highly about the convenience, and you just set it all up and let it go.
Absolutely.
And stuff like that. So they've got a good following and good reputation.
Critical Reef, and he's also both calibrated every few months as well, mate. So so that's good. LPS like it apparently. Well, it's brought my hammers out more, but ICP said only dose 1.2 mil a week. let me see, 1.2 mil a week, then another ICP next month, right? So,
So
how
Darren,
big's your tank, Darren? How large is your tank now? I'm not 100% sure how big your tank is. So I'm dosing. Obviously, mine's a 350. So I'm starting 2 mil a week on that. But it does say on the manganese to dose 1 mil per 100 liters of water. Now I know the distillation of water, of rock and stuff like that in there, it's not going to be 50 liters of water. No chance. I can't. In fact, I'm sure it was like, sure to put about 310 liters of water or something in there. If my memory serves me right when I set it up. So I'm going on the edge of 300 liters of water. That's what I'm going to go with on that. So I mean,
Steve, I do wonder if the volume is a little bit misleading, because no, so if you think, right, you've got 300 liters, I get that as a guide, but you could have 300 liters and you might have half your tank, half, you've got lots of frags in your tank, and then you've got your tank, which is top to bottom, left and right, full of coral.
Yeah.
So you think, right, you're doing 300 mil, you're dosing, and if someone else is doing 50 mil and it's a 300 tank, then you would say your uptake would be more than theirs. But also depends on what corals you got. So SPS, I don't know much, may not take up as much manganese as LPS. So do you know what I mean? You got a combination of
I see what you're saying.
You got a combination of what corals have you got, and you got a combination of, are you wall-to-wall corals? Yeah. So I think it's all right. It's a bit like no pops. I get real.
So you're saying, say for instance, a person, put somebody in my position. Say yourself, we have identical same tanks, 350, yeah. We have the same amount of rock in there, same amount of water distillation in there, everything exactly the same, yeah. But I've got a full thingy of tank, a full tank full of coral, and you've only got small tiny frags on your rock, Are you saying that you would dose less of that manganese, as opposed to what I would?
So I would say your tank,
you know what I mean?
your tank needs more than mine.
Yeah, so why does it say on the bottle, if that was the case, why does it not say on the bottle if fully stocked or half medium stocked?
What I've noticed, they're always a guide. They're a guide. So you think no pox, used it for years, and you see people that overdose their tank, then no pox. And on there it will say depending on, in small ways they'll say about depend on stocking, but it will say I don't know, X amount of mil per 100 liters. Most dosing things will say whatever it is, and some things, regardless of the tank, that'll be fine. But if you think about it, you don't dose, everyone on here would dose different levels of alkalinity, even if they had a 350 litre tank, because the uptake will be different.
I totally get you.
I don't see why this would be any different. So it's a guide, basically.
Yes.
And you need to think, well, where's the best for that
so
guide?
Basically, really what I'm best off doing is exactly what you said there, really, is to dose this, for the next month, because I've written it down exactly when I started it anyway, I've jotted it down on my phone, so I know exactly when I started, So then do it for a month, at 2 mil a week, right? Do an ICP test after that. See what the results come back to see if there's any like, whether it's raised up or not. If it hasn't and it stayed low, or it's just only raised up by a little slight amount, then I need to increase it. And then do that for another month, and then send another ICP test off. Because for the sake of 30 quid, it's worth me doing an ICP test for 30 quid.
I think with everything you got invested in that tank for 30 quid a month, then
for a few months,
so what?
And then I get the balance. Then don't have what mine, and then we can see whether it's taking more than it needs to. I'm going to do that, Paul. I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to do that for sure, mate. So, Paul, so gents, I have a question for you both. If you could have the best piece of reefing equipment out there for any one of your tanks, what would it be? Best piece of reefing equipment.
So purely for the kudos would be a Royal exclusive skimmer. Because people who get those skimmers, do not want to move to any other skimmers. They run dead silent.
They're like Rolls Royce,
they look really, really nice until you see the price, and then you feel you're peeling onions because you just start crying the price. I think it'd have to be a Royal exclusive skimmer.
Yeah.
Or a Royal exclusive sump. The sumps look absolutely superb. So a sump and skimmer. I'm being greedy, Paul.
You know what? I was gonna say that, and then you not the Royal exclusive skimmer. I was gonna say, that those Hikari sumps. You know the Hikari sumps, the ones that is it Parker's Reef got? Yeah, I would have somebody come in, and do my cable management, and set up all my pumps and everything, so it's meticulous, and with one of those sumps in the bottom, those Hikari sumps with everything all like lined up, like your media reactor, your skimmer all lined. That's what I would have. Definitely 100%.
So one item would be the skimmer. If I was being greedy, I'd have the skimmer and the sump.
Yeah, we can't just have one, mate. You can't just have one in this reefing hobby. It's nonsense. We got to have a little bit more, so we're gonna go for 2. Yeah, yours is that, Paul, and mine's the same. Mine's like somebody coming in, tidying it all up, all my cables, and and that Hikari sump for sure. Manganese will always be low on an ICP.
Okay.
Right. Okay then. Well, that's not that out of the park then, isn't it? I don't think I'm gonna. I'm spending 30 quid on nothing in water.
But at least you get your other measurements coming back.
At least I get the other measurements, So you know what? We will. I'm gonna do it, mate. I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna go with the Critical Reef, and I think it was Stu's Reef as well. Yeah, it mentioned. I'm going to go for this Elements ICP test. I'm going to get that. And like you said, the customer service is going to be good because it's based over there, isn't it? So if you have any issues, I'm going to do that, mate, for sure. Drippy Reef King Geek has said, boys, safe ideas to get phosphate slightly higher. They're reading at 0 on Hana phosphate, nitrates at 20, which I'm okay about. Talking about phosphates, I mentioned on my, I think it was last week, or was it the week before? I can't remember, about my phosphates going really, really high. Yeah. Again, and you know what? They seem to be. Well, I thought the tank looked bang on. It didn't look. In fact, it looked perfect to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I decided. I thought, you know what? I need to reduce it. So I turned my reactor back on, and I put the Kraken Coddles phosphate remover in there. Now I literally put, it says like 50 grams to 100 grams per 100 litre or whatever it is. Well, it's got it on the box, it's got it on the container. So I basically went, I put it on the lower part, I put it like 50 grams, do you know what I mean? I've only done a very little amount in there, and I tested it, and my phosphates dropped from 0.32, which it was, I think it was last week, and it's dropped now to 0.07. It is now. So it's dropped by that, like, boom, instantly, mate. You know what I mean? And you can tell the difference, on certain corals, especially the SPS, the polyps don't pop as much. You know what I mean? So I've literally had it running a week. Now I've switched it back off. It's back off now. I'm not even messing about with it now. I'm just, I'm not bothered about it. I'm just going to leave it. But
so to answer this question, I think, do you use any kind of phosphate remover? So
phosphate remover.
Any kind of Roa or anything around that? Because if you did, then I would remove it or reduce it. You can dose phosphate. I've never done it before, and I can't remember the name of it. But if you have a look, you can. People do dose phosphate into the tank, because if you was to feed more, you could send your nitrates up to a level you don't want them to be at. But there are some fish food that's high in phosphate but not in nitrate. Not that I can think of what it is off the top of my head. So you can get foods that are quite high in phosphate. So you could try that as well. So you probably need to have a look to see you can add phosphate. So that's what I'd probably do.
Yeah, you can add it, Kyle,
to increase, because I'm assuming you haven't got anything like algae or anything like that, and that's pulling out the phosphate.
Well, it's got 20 nitrates, so if you had algae, then algae would take.
Well, unless the nitrates were materially higher to begin with, and then it's pulling both down at the same rate. That could be that. So I would consider doing that
Yeah, I agree, mate.
You can do that if you just want to take one. If one's out of balance, you can just increase that one up to a level that you want it to be
you can buy
at.
the stuff, can't you? Yeah, you can buy the stuff, can't you? Riggs is 69. He's said he's on night shift tonight. He's got his missing a stream. Go check it out on the. It's been recorded, mate. Check it out tomorrow or whenever you can. I appreciate it, mate. But the zoo, he asked earlier, but it got missed. I'm sorry about that, mate. What's your thoughts on using live rock, i.e., a piece of rubble from multiple sources, 4 or 5 different reefs to aid in biodiversity when cycling a new sterile tank? Paul, what do you think?
So definitely using.
It'd have to
pieces of rubble, definitely for sure, because I've done that on this tank. But that's all come from one particular tank. I don't see any reason. I mean, what's the downside of using rubble or from 4 or 5 different sources?
It could be a big spike, right?
No, because you could be introducing pests and other things from 4 or 5 different tanks. So that's the downside. But, I mean, I suppose it would add it because you've got 5 different tanks, 5 different biomes that they're coming from. Yeah. So I don't see why you couldn't try it. I mean, I never really thought about that before, about trying it. So that, using pieces from another tank and then maybe buying a couple of pieces of rubble from a different LFS or even from local reefers. I'd just be concerned about what am I introducing, because it works both ways. You're putting in really good biodiversity into it, but also are you adding stuff that you really don't want to add? But then you could be doing that with rock from one source. So, I think give it a go.
Yeah,
I think it'd be quite. I think it'd only be different, and certainly would add some life to a sterile tank. Absolutely. I think if nothing else, then I think every person, if you're putting in dead rock and new sand that's not live sand, putting in small pieces of rubble, other things like that is, I think, I wouldn't say a must, but I think it really helps the ugly stage and helps a tank to mature. And I think BRS TV, when they've done quite a few tests, certainly adding pieces of rock rubble helps the tank get through all the ugly stage and everything else. Now, how much did you add? That I'm not too sure. But,
exactly.
I haven't added that much. I probably added 3 or 4, 2 pieces in the front, and then kind of golf ball sizes in the sump as well. Yeah.
No, totally agree, mate. Darren's put 350, 3 foot, 250 litres. He's also he uses the Triton ICP, the one that I use as well, but he also uses the Triton manganese. So, and then Stu's put he's dosing 1.5 mil twice a week of manganese and a reef of 350, which is around 310 litre of water. And then Cottage Reef right underneath has put 1.5 mil of manganese in your tank per day will be fine. Per day, mate, or is that supposed to be per week?
So I think, to stay on that, you've got 3 different people.
Exactly.
Doing, and then you look at 250 to 350, not much difference in the size of the tank. Cottage Reef, I'm not too sure the size of your tank, but you've got 3 different people doing 3 different dosing regimes on that, because they're 3 different tanks, 3 different stocking, 3 different things, and everything, how it goes. I think if you look at it, there's your answer. It's different for everyone, as we say about everything, isn't it?
Absolutely. And Chris has hit the nail exactly on the head. Use it as a guide, and then test regular to find the level. You're right, mate. Absolutely spot on. Fully agree. Good point, Steve. Like the AB Plus says, mixed, soft, or dominate SPS dosing. Why don't all supplements give a guide? Yeah, true, mate. 100%.
But I think with Red Sea, I think I've done really well. And I said about the NOPOX and everything. A lot of their stuff, they've got I think they've got quite good guides around how things interact, what is AB plus for compared to your calcium alkalinity. And you could use, I think they call them recipes, don't they?
Yes,
and on the salt box, they'll say, for this, you do this, these are the kind of levels to keep. And if you follow those, I think it helps. I don't think they say for alkalinity, you need to dose X amount of milliliters, because it will vary from tank to tank. I think they've done a really, really good thing on that. We have a Zeovit, which is the blue bottles that are out of Germany. They've got zero guide on what they do. Yet people that run Zeovit tanks absolutely have phenomenal tanks. And BRS sells, I mean, obviously they sell the gear, don't they? They sell the Zeovit stuff. So you could say, well, of course they're going to big it up because they want to sell it. But they use it in their tanks and they rate the Zeovit bottles as well. So I think Red Sea have done a really good job in terms of this is what this does, this is what you can do, these are the parameters for that. And I'm not too sure many others have matched that over the years.
No. Yeah, no, I totally agree. When I first started my 170, I started all with Red Sea products. And that was exactly, I mean, really, in theory, when I went into my tank, I didn't have a set agenda of what I was going to do. You know what I mean? Did I specifically set out to go for a mixed reef? No, I didn't. In hindsight, when I sit down and think about it, I didn't go for a mixed reef. I just went for what corals I liked.
I like that one.
I like that coral,
yeah.
Oh, that'll look really nice in that spot, and that'll look really good in that spot. And that's the way it was, you know what I mean, when you do it. And it was like, and then it was only when I bought this 350 that it was like, it just, I mean, from 170 to a 350, it's like doubled in size. You had umpteen amount of space, or so you thought, you know what I mean? And now we look back on it now at like three years later, and it's just like completely full now, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's crazy how it works. But just going back onto Stu there, he was saying that his never shows up on his ICP test. And then John's put exactly, it might be a bit skeptical, but wonder whether they just want you to keep buying more ICPs. John, you're probably right, mate. When Stu's thought exactly the same. Absolutely. I mean, it does seem a bit strange why it always, I mean, because when I checked out mine came back exactly the same, like undetectable on them. You know what I mean? But I thought it's probably right because I don't do water changes. You know what I mean? So maybe that might be the case. But what I'm gonna, now I know that I'm dosing it, I'm gonna do an ICP test, like Paul has said as well, and I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna see whether any of it comes up, and if it doesn't, then I'm just gonna. I'm with you guys.
What you could do, Steve. Why don't you message Laura on Instagram? Because obviously, you know, she's been on the live stream and everything else.
Yeah, for sure.
And just drop her a line about saying, "I've got this. This is what I'm dosing." She's seen your tank, blah blah blah, and see what she thinks, because she knows her stuff on Goniapora.
Oh no,
she was on here,
right.
And then she was at Love to Reef as well, and she was absolutely bang on in terms of, and then the respect she's got in the industry. And, you know, Port AAC buys loads of Goniapora from her because she's a wholesaler. Just drop her a line and see what she thinks.
I will do, mate. You know what? I will. Like you said, she knows everything about it, so I will do. Actually, to be fair, and Paul's put quickly because we are running out of time. God, it's flown. This is flown. It's 10 minutes left. With the best will in the world, we drive ourselves mad chasing ICP numbers. I can't recommend a few water changes enough, and closely alk monitoring once your tank matures to save you a lot of faffing. Absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree with you more. Other than I don't do water changes. So as for everybody else, you do water changes.
That's for another live stream. We haven't got enough time for that, Steve.
You do water changes and follow Paul's advice because he's right. Yeah, definitely. The zoo would be great for bacteria startup, but check where it's coming from. And if people have had issues in their tanks, pest diseases, etc., a bit like with fish, corals, you might have to quarantine and go follow. Yeah, totally agree. Don't get rock or anything like that. If it's been littered with pests and stuff like that could be pretty bad, to be fair. The tank will follow for a while. I'm in no hurry, but I reckon I will be checking the source for pets 100%. Drippy Reef. I had a rower foss ages ago, took a bag, which had been in probably a year or 2 months. A year, 2 months ago, everything actually looks okay and doing well. Fantastic.
Okay. So I think he's taken the rower foss. So that's not bringing it down. You haven't got rower foss in there. So
no.
I would either kind of find some food that is high in phosphate.
Yeah, or just buy the bottle.
Or dose a little bit of phosphate.
Phosphate, yeah.
You could try that.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would probably do that myself, mate. Russell Brooks might try dosing manganese myself. Never had any luck with gunnies. You and me too, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah. And the zoo's put up there about using bottled bacteria. I think bottled bacteria is good as a kind of injection into the tank, but I'm not sure. about does it really over the long term build up the biodiversity. I think people use bottle bacteria, didn't they, to cycle the tank.
To cycle
and
tank,
cycling the tank is, I think, very different to building up the biodiversity and making a dead tank, sterile tank live.
Yeah.
I think they're two different things. So I've used bottle bacteria. I'm not convinced.
No.
It has much else other than a shot in the arm to help your fish and stuff. I could be wrong, but I think it's just like time and introducing other critters and sponges and other stuff like that really, really help. But that's just a personal view.
Yeah. Hey, I don't dose manganese, and my gunnies are just fine. Yeah. I mean, some people, I just think, to be fair, I just think, like, you know, like some people, I say it time and time again, like some people just have luck with, you know, like with certain corals in the tank. You know what I mean? Some of us just don't have any luck with other corals in the tank. And I think gunnies in my tank just don't go. You know what I mean? It's simple as that. I just don't think they settle. I don't know. I really just don't. I don't know what goes on with them. But you know what? I can only say that I've tried, and if these don't survive, then I won't be trying it again. That's for sure.
But I think it's also the mix. If you look at, we just after that one, Haley's next comment. You know, all for reef, which has got a lot of the smaller elements in it, because it's kind of a complete all-in-one. You've got Aqua Power, Goniapora, AB Plus. You've got a lot of not nutrients. You've got a lot of acids, amino acids, and other things that's going in there to really help your tank. So you've got a lot of stuff going on there, which is great, Haley. That really helps.
Absolutely.
And I love all for reef. I think it's so simple to use in a smaller tank. It's brilliant. And it was through Haley and also a few others on here. That was when I started out one of the tanks, when everyone was saying they use all for reef. So it's from being on here that I really learned about it.
I love that all for reef. I think, I mean, at the end of the day, I think a tank 200 litres and below, I'd say 200 litres, 250, probably maybe the most, that all for reef, if it's a lowly moderatedly stocked tank, perfect. You can't go wrong with it, mate. I think it's fantastic. I dosed all for reef too, but my Alveopora died and my LFS says low manganese. So that's John. Russell Brooks, my ICP this week said manganese was at 0.29. So it does come up in there in the ICPs. Do bristle worms kill inverts? I found a huge one in my tank and I can't keep emerald crabs alive. Not that I'm aware of. They don't. Bristle worms don't. Fireworms do. If it's a fireworm, then I know they do. Yeah. Or if there's what's the other one? The other critter that is crazy. What kills the fish as well? Bobbit worms. They will definitely kill. They will 100% kill inverts. 1,000,000%.
Yeah. The only thing I find with emerald crabs, I've got emerald crabs in one of the tank, and I may not see it for about a month, 2 months. Thinks it's dead. I think it's dead, and I'll go out to the garage when the light's off, shine the light on the tank, and all of a sudden it's there. So I do find with the emerald crabs, they just disappear for ages and you don't see it. I mean, it could have died, but I've got one that I've had for 3 years since I set up the tank, and all of a sudden I see it from time to time. They just seem to be able to hide really easy, the emerald crabs.
I mean, bristle worms, I mean, they are, I mean, I used to have tons of them in my tank, and then all of a sudden, I took a load out, and then the rest of them, they just vanished, mate. They just died. I don't know whether they died or what, but I
think there's self-control. So if you've got lots of leftover food and other stuff like that, then they multiply, and then as you clean up your tank, I agree. Die with that. So I think they go up and down depending on not so much your nutrients, but how much waste you got in your sand and that.
So Paul, just want to say thanks for the stream, gents. Really enjoyed it. Appreciate you joining, Paul.
Yeah,
really
thank you.
Nice to see you, mate. Don't see you that much, mate. So great for joining us.
Yeah. The comment above Haley's comment, I think he's bang on.
Absolutely. Biodiversity, it comes with a tank maturity, and life finds a way. Absolutely. Well,
I think you can help it. I think you can help it on its way, but you're right. There's no quick route other than
No.
patience and time. But you can put things in it that does help it, I think. But
Absolutely.
you still need, you know, as we say, 12, 15 months. You still need 12, 15 months to get the tank going into good shape, and then you
absolutely, mate. Absolutely. So yeah, so we're just getting all thanks for the advice and comments. Appreciate it. Have a great thanks for the stream, guys. Have a great weekend. You too, Haley. Bristol Worms are just free cleanup crew. Absolutely, mate.
Absolutely.
Probably, in fact, they are probably one of the best cleanup crew you can have in your tank. They just look a bit creepy, don't they? You know what I mean? People get freaked out with them.
Yeah.
I do not touch them. Never ever touch them. That's for sure. You know
You have to be careful when you pick up coral.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Sod's law, especially chalice. Chalice underneath,
Yeah.
they hide underneath chalice.
Right, well, that's
and you
it.
know
That's
when you've been caught by one.
Absolutely. Matt Daz, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
enjoy
thanks
your weekend,
for
guys.
watching. It's been really good.
UKM 120 as always. Cheers, guys, and have a good weekend. So yeah, so we're bang on time once again, guys. Thanks for joining us on this Friday evening, as you always do. Really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, Paul, for joining.
No,
really appreciate it. I didn't want to do it on my own tonight, that's for sure.
Well, I did for 15 minutes. I wasn't prepped for that, for sure.
I thought you
That's
were
the way
going to
it
end up
goes.
doing it on your own. But yeah, no, really appreciate it. So once again, guys, thanks for joining us. It'll be on obviously next weekend, next Friday. I'm not sure whether I don't know whether I'm going to be. I'll have to check see what I'm on. I'm sure I'm on a semi-late, so I might be joining later on. If not, fingers crossed, I'll be on. I will be on the following week because I'm off that weekend, so that Friday. So once again, thanks for joining us, and yeah, we'll see you next Friday for Friday Night Live Stream. Have a great weekend. Cheers, guys.